Good evening. Glad to see you're all here tonight. Tonight, we're going to be talking about online security. This particular presentation is really aimed for the average user. I'm not going to get into technical weeds. I don't want to try to talk over someone's heads, but on the other hand, I don't want to get too general. So we are going to be, maybe we'll be delving into some areas with which you're not familiar. But let's see what happens. First of all, I do need to point out, as usual, that we have a regular training schedule that I publish at the beginning of every month. It's always located at the MD19 website, always hidden away in this clever location right here. And to start us off tonight, come on. No, 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 no. You're, you're supposed to play. There we go.
I just pin it anywhere on his vest?
Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
Right there is perfect. Not a lot of real
that's
estate.
there. Oh,
Line.
too many pins.
Line. It happens every meeting.
I'm okay.
Yeah. Of course he is.
He has a pin for being okay while he's on the floor. Wow. It takes him a while to get up because that vest weighs about, I'd say, 85 to 95 pounds at this
Yeah.
point. Do you want us to just bring the pancakes down to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want breakfast meats as well?
Sausage?
Yeah.
Great.
Absolutely.
Great. I love this organization.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
I love playing these humorous clips. I really do. Okay, now that we've got the humor out of the way, I want to talk about security for your home computers. This is not your at-work computers. The security for the average network in a business is far greater, far more detailed, and a lot more hardware than what we normally find in a home. So this is going to be discussed with the idea of your home computer, whether it be a desktop or a laptop. And I always like this particular part of it. Most users never experience a problem because they invest in precautions. Some users, for a variety of reasons, just won't. And it is those users that, when I was doing tech support, it's those users that didn't want to take the precautions that I am forever thankful because they provided a lot of work for me. Even nowadays, even though I am no longer in the tech support business because I have established a clientele that I've handed off to another business, they have told other people about my name and my contact info. Every now and again, I get a frantic phone call. Something has invaded my computer. I don't know what's going on. Please help, help, help. And I will help them, and for a fee, naturally. But there's always a few in a crowd, and sometimes it's just because they're too cheap to do anything about it, and sometimes it reaches around and bites them in the posterior. We need to be aware. We need to take precautions. My experiences with Windows, but generally the information that I have gathered here tonight applies to both Windows and Macintosh. I can't speak to other operating systems such as Linux and that sort of stuff. I'm not even going to try to go there. I've only dabbled, I've only tinkered with that stuff just a little bit, so I'm not going to talk about that at all. A little bit of a history lesson. Understand that even from the earliest days when computers were connected, even in the earliest days, there were ways that people could do some damage. And I like to think that I have been for a long time a computing professional, but I fell for them a couple of times back in the days of DOS. Looking at before we had the internet, before we had internet messaging, there was a message packet service and that I subscribed to, and I was reading the traffic one day and I saw a note one day that said, if you want to see an Easter egg, and this is back in the days when they had Easter eggs, a hidden gem in a program that you could only see with a certain sequence of keystrokes or something like that. If you want to see an Easter egg for Windows, it said try Control Alt Delete. It wasn't Windows, it was DOS. He said try Control Alt Delete. So I happily Control Alt Delete, and that back then that meant restart your computer. So that was one of my first instances of being trapped in this little thing because I just wasn't thinking. I knew that, but I just wasn't. Oh, I'm going to try that. So yeah, it happens to us. It really does. Many of the software companies ignored the dangers of viruses and malicious online stuff. And of course, this created the opportunities for antivirus software businesses to flourish. One of the biggest, one of the earliest ones was Norton. They provided a variety of different utilities, including antivirus software. And Norton Antivirus continues to this day. They are a big name in that industry for online security. Good for them. Good for them. But we also found that as our capabilities in the computers increased, as our programs got better, as the hardware got better, so did the hackers, and they explored different ways of invading our computers and doing bad, mean, terrible things. But we all learn by our mistakes. I mentioned that I'm going to be geared toward the home network versus the work network. But I also want to point out that your home network is different from your public Wi-Fi network. Your home network, notice on the left side over there, it says you have control of this access point right here. This is your router. This is how you get connected to your internet via your internet service provider. And your internet service provider may be a variety of different companies, local or national, but everybody that is connected to the internet is doing so via an internet service provider. And the hardware that provides that connection is called a router. A long time ago, we used to call it a modem. The moniker still sticks around. It's really not a modem. It's a router. But this is on the left side. That's how our network typically looks. Sometimes at home, you will have your desktop or your laptop connected via a cable, also known as a Cat5 or Cat6, or you may have it connected via wireless. Either way, the access point to the internet is that router. It all goes through that router. Public Wi-Fi, your local coffee shop, hotels, etc. You have absolutely no control over that access point. You have no control over that router. And that means that there's a lot of other people that are connected to that same network and bad things can happen. For that reason, you really need to take precautions and you need to establish your precautions early on. I say early on. When I was doing tech support, many times I would take a computer out of the box and I would plug everything in and I would start that computer, but I would have the Cat5, I would have the cable, the network connection disconnected. And I would do the normal setup. And of course, at one point during the setup, the installation of all the software, at one point there's a requirement for the internet connection so that it can be registered with Microsoft and Dell or HP or whatever. And so at that point, I would connect the cable in, do the registration, and then disconnect. And then I would install the antivirus. And that would take a few minutes. And then I would run the antivirus. And inevitably, every single time when I ran that antivirus, even if it was a few days or a few weeks out of date, I would get anywhere from 10 to 50 different viruses installed on that computer for that brief time that I was connected to the internet. It happens. You need to be aware. There's lots of opportunities. And if you're not protected, it's going to reach around and bite you in the posterior. Okay, enough about the nightmare scenario. Let's talk about email. There are two primary forms of email. One I refer to as desktop, where you install the email program on your computer. And then there's the web-based email, like Gmail and Yahoo Mail, and a wide variety of other email services. There's lots of them. and they're all very, very good. I do not hesitate to recommend any one of them. They're good in a variety of ways. I've been utilizing Yahoo Mail since they first offered it back in the late 1990s. I established an account and I've been using that same account ever since. And Yahoo Mail and Gmail and all the rest of them have learned that spam and the bad stuff is going to inevitably come into your account. All of these email services are very, very good at isolating them, pushing them off to the side, typically in a spam type folder. And you can look at them in there and make sure that everything is operating correctly. They're very good at this. They really are. And the same is also true with a desktop email. If you install, for instance, Outlook or Thunderbird on your computer, those programs are very good about catching those bad things that might come through onto your system and isolating them into the spam folder. They're very good, and you need to be aware that that these programs are set up to try to protect you. They really are. I will also encourage at least considering more than one email service. I have probably a half a dozen accounts. I have accounts with my Outlook, and one of the accounts, the account that you're familiar with, the Lion Al at Headstrom.ws, that's for my Lions stuff. I also have one at Al at Headstrom.ws. That's for my personal stuff. For the stuff that I am exposed to the public, for instance, I want to subscribe to a newsletter somewhere online. I will use my Yahoo account for that purpose because I'm sending my email address out to public and I don't know what they're going to do with that email address that I've provided to them because they can legally take that and sell it to someone else. So therefore, all of my public, if I can use that term loosely, public stuff, I use the Yahoo account for that purpose. And of course, it catches tons of spam, shoves it off to the side, and it's very, very good about keeping regular, legitimate traffic in my inbox. And again, lots and lots and lots of other email, web-based email services will do the same thing. I do like the way that they've improved over the years. When it comes to email, you always want to be skeptical of attachments, especially if it's from an email address you do not recognize, especially if it is from someone you do recognize, but you really were not expecting this. Yeah, there are things that can happen. You should always be suspicious. And yeah, there's a variety of ways to take care of this. An antivirus system will catch those for you and again, isolate them as necessary. Email accounts for different purposes. I discussed that just briefly. Let's talk about antivirus. Antivirus is harmful. It can be destructive. But the thing about virus is a virus program is the word virus itself, because it can replicate and spread from one system to another. It can spread from your laptop to your desktop, to your tablet, to your cell phone, et cetera, et cetera. It can replicate itself across your connections. And because of that, they call it a virus. And this was one of the earliest forms of malicious software, the virus programs. Also known as Trojans. You may have heard that one before as well. So typically it's installed as a program, this antivirus program, it's installed as a program. It's typically silent. You never see it being installed. You never know it's there. But an antivirus program will catch it and will prevent it from being installed. Windows 10 and Windows 11, both of them come with Defender, Microsoft Defender. It's a Microsoft antivirus program, and it is rated very, very highly. I like to say it's built in. It's actually an add-in program, but it comes with, which is very, very good. I have, and you don't pay extra for it. I have come to depend on Defender, and I no longer use another antivirus program because Defender does everything for me. So I don't hesitate to recommend. And some folks say, if it's Microsoft, I'm suspicious. I hear you. I hear you. I really do. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with providing another antivirus program on your computer. Nothing wrong with that at all. They are plentiful. Many of them are free, but especially with antivirus, you'll want to look at the reviews. Many times the reviews will say essentially the free version is nice, but you get what you pay for. Its capabilities may be limited. Yeah. So you want to be aware. How much is an antivirus program? Typically, an antivirus program is a subscription service that you pay for every year, and it runs anywhere from 50 to 75 bucks a year. Don't ignore the subscription. Many times when you get a new computer, there is an antivirus program already installed. Maybe it's Norton, maybe it's McAfee, maybe it's Kaspersky, whatever. It is a limited time subscription, comes with, which is cool. But at the end of that limited time, usually 3 months, it will give you fair warning. You will see messages saying it's going to expire. If you do nothing about it, you're opening yourself up to difficulties. So be aware. You need to be aware. Check the reviews. I mentioned this before. There are many websites out there that provide reviews of lots and lots of different types of software, including antivirus. Some of the oldest ones that I have come to rely on, one is called PCMag.com. It was originally the publisher of PC Magazine, the actual paper version, by Ziff Publishing. They're still working as PCMag.com, and they do lots of reviews of hardware and software and all sorts of stuff. Another one is, PC Review is very, very good. They've been around for a very long time. And there are many other sites that are very, very good as well. Read the reviews. It doesn't cost anything to read the reviews. Read the reviews, and then make your decisions from there. Malware. Malware is designed to do some harm or exploit a device, but the difference between malware and virus is that the malware does not replicate. So it targets an individual system, and that's where it remains, and it does what it's supposed to do. Just like a virus, it'll operate in the background until it's ready to do something evil and devious. Sometimes it's immediate. Sometimes there's a time lag of a day or a week or a month or whatever. But again, an antivirus program will catch these things for you. It's installed as a program to work with all internet programs. Yep. And many of these are free. And there's some very, very good ones out there that are free of charge. I won't say any particular name, but there's some very, very good ones that are free of charge. Again, check the reviews. Talk about VPN. The idea of a virtual private network is something that has been recognized for a long time. For a long time, the VPN tool was available only for businesses because it was a complicated system, and things have improved over the years, and now VPNs are available for individuals. I have a VPN on my system. Absolutely, I do a VPN because it encrypts my internet connections. Without a VPN, the information that you send out to a destination, whether it be email, whether it be a connection to a website, whether it be downloading this PowerPoint that I'm providing to you, it is done openly. And in fact, anybody with the right tool can actually read what you are saying across the internet. Now, there are billions and trillions of pieces of information every second that are going through the internet. It doesn't mean that somebody is looking for your particular connection. They're looking for any particular connection. And of course, the tools that they use are looking for open connections, and they're looking for particular words or phrases, and that's what they will target. But when you've got a VPN, it means your connections, your communications are encrypted, and they are not easily read. And again, trillions of pieces of data going across the internet at any given second. Yeah, to take time to decrypt what you're having to say is going to take far more time than what's worth it for them. VPN, a very good idea. It's installed as a program and it works with all your internet programs. Some are better than others. Of course, you want to check the reviews. A VPN will cost, again, just like an antivirus program, will cost between $50 and $75 a year. I happily pay for that for me because, and I realize that the stuff that I have to say with my connections, it's not like I've got classified. It's not like I'm in business. It's, it's normal stuff, but I prefer the precaution. I'm going to fork over I think it's $70 a year that for the one that I use. Check the reviews. It's worth the effort. Let's talk about your web browser, the program that you use to connect to the internet. And because not all browsers are the same, some are better than others. If you want a better web browser, you want one that is secure. And that's kind of a little bit nebulous because secure in what way? Well, there's a variety of ways that one browser can be more secure than another browser. Some of the better ones, and this is certainly not all of them, but the more popular ones are Firefox, Tor, DuckDuckGo, and Brave. Please don't ask me how they come up with these names like DuckDuckGo, but there it is. And these are some of the better ones, and there are some very good ones out there that you want to check the reviews. When you do your downloading, you want to download any file, any program that you download. You want to do it from the author's website. For instance, if you decide that you want to use Norton Utilities, you download from the Norton website, not some other website. If you want to download a Firefox, download it from the Mozilla site. These are the company that is the author of Firefox. Download it from the Mozilla website, and that way you know it's clean, and that way you know it's got all the parts that it's supposed to have. There are open source sites with many programs that are great, and open source means free. And I like open source apps because they're proven themselves to be reliable, of high quality, and what's attractive for me, it's free. Three of the primary, these are not the only ones, but the primary ones, the ones that I go to GitHub, GNU, and SourceForge, programs of a wide variety, from the small little utility that does one little thing for your operating system, right on up through big programs, including project management programs, free of charge. And they're very, very good, highly rated. Check it out. Web browsers. A secure web browser will prevent what is called phishing, where it mimics legitimate, popular websites and tries to trick you into giving away your personal information. Yeah. There are also websites that are web trackers. They utilize cookies for this. Every time you hit a website, you're going to be bringing in cookies. Usually the purpose for the cookies are good and legitimate. There's nothing wrong with that. But some of the more questionable websites, they will install cookies that will keep track of what you do across other websites and report that back. Not a good thing. So you want to be aware that a good secure browser will prevent this from happening. Spyware and adware. Spyware, including keyloggers and video, where it takes screenshots of what you're doing on your computer, and sends it back to the to someone. This is kind of stuff that you see about in movies and such. It's real. It actually exists. Keyloggers have been around for a very long time. Yeah, and many times these programs that do this problem, many times they're free of charge, and many times there are legitimate uses for this. Keyloggers. I didn't tell my kids this until well after they had graduated and out on their own. For a long time, I had a keylogger on my computer that we used, that all the household use, because I wanted to make sure of what my kids were looking at, how they were communicating was okay. And the keylogger did that for me. And it wasn't until many years later that I told them about it. So sometimes there are legitimate uses. Many times the uses are not legitimate. You need to be aware. But oh, here we are. Screen loggers and key loggers. I talked about that. The malicious ads are pop-ups that can direct you to unsafe websites. For instance, and this is very, very common, if a malicious ad somehow makes its way onto your computer, you can see a pop-up that says you need to you need to update your Windows Defender, or you need to update your Norton utilities, and click here to update. You click here, well, of course, it doesn't update anything. It installs bad things on your computer. Bad, bad, bad. A good secure browser will prevent that from happening. Fingerprinting, fairly new, but it identifies, it tracks what you've been doing, and it sends this information to another source, sometimes even without cookies. Yeah, I won't get into the details. These are some of the more advanced tools that can be happening, and a secure browser will prevent that from happening. Malvertising is ads that actually inject code onto your computer. Even if you don't click on it, because it suddenly appears, that's a big, big hint that you got a problem. So you need to be aware. And again, a secure browser will prevent this. And last but not least is what they call drive-by downloads. It's an automatic download of software, and it was because you visited a sketchy website. It happened entirely in the background, and without you knowing, you got a problem all of a sudden. These are some of the things that a good secure web browser will prevent from happening. Passwords have always been a target of hackers. And unfortunately, the past few years, we've seen something called password managers come up. And I use a password manager. It's always recommended for every website that you visit. In order for you to create an account, you have to provide a phone number or an email address and a password. And of course, they always recommend that you use what they call a strong password, a mix of unusual characters on the keyboard, upper and lower case, numbers, etc., and a minimum of 8 or 10 or 12 different characters. They recommend this as something that is a security tool for your benefit, which is cool. But then, of course, by the time you set up the second one, and it's unique, of course, how are you going to remember all these things? A password manager is an excellent solution because it stores your passwords for you and allows you to generate strong, unique passwords for each of your accounts. And you only need to remember one master password for your password manager. So you access your password manager. It installs with your browser. It's what it's called an add-in or an extension. It installs to work with your browser, and you set it up with your one unique password, what they call the master password, and then from there forward, it works with all the other tools. I'd like to illustrate how it operates. I'm not saying that the one that I'm using is the best one. I'm not saying that at all. And just an illustration of how it operates. First, I'm going to stop the share. And then I'm going to go over to another website. Here we are. Good. And come back over here. And I want to share now. Okay. So Amazon, I specifically logged out of Amazon, and this is my wife's account. This is my account. And notice this little guy right here. This is my clue that I've got this thing active. Now, I have not logged in to my password manager. Watch what happens when I go to provide a password. Unlock. And notice this guy over here. So I can unlock from here. I provide my master password. Cool. And from here, now this right here may be cached information. I don't know, but I want to make sure that I'm getting the right one. So I provide there, and then I sign in. Hopefully I've done this right. Hey, there I am. Cool. That's a brief illustration. The password manager that I use is called Bitwarden. I'm not saying that that's the best one to use. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that it's something that one of many that are very, very good at this particular time. I want to stop the share there and restart my share. Here we are. Good. So it's installed as a program to work with your browser. You install it on one browser. If you use more than one browser and you want to use the password manager on all your browsers, you have to install it with each of your browsers. Again, it works as an add-in or an extension. There are various terms for that purpose. It acts as a secure vault because your connection there is encrypted. And so they encrypt everything that goes back and forth. And it means that you've got yourself a good way of ensuring that only you have access to your passwords. When you go to create a new account or it's time to change a password on an already established account, it can generate for you strong, unique passwords for you to use with a particular account. Again, the idea is you want to make sure that you've got yourself a good connection with a good secure password. And from there forward, when you log onto the website, for the first time, of course, you can set the password manager to save those credentials. And then thereafter, it will automatically fill it in for you, streamlining the online process, the login process. There are some very good password managers out there. Again, read the reviews. I want to return to email. I know it's kind of backwards here, but this is also true for social media messages. Odd emails or odd messages that you get from someone with whom you seldom communicate. This is a reason for you to be suspicious. Or you get a message or a social media direct message from someone with whom you regularly communicate, but they're talking about, I need you to help with an emergency. But they didn't bother to call you with the emergency. Suspicious. An odd request. And you want to check the source first. If I get a message from Leslie, and it looks weird to me, I am not going to immediately respond. The first thing I'm going to do is check that message to see where it is coming from. If I don't remember what the person's email address is, I will look it up in my contact list and then compare it against that email message originating address. And if it's suspicious, many times it ain't the same thing. For instance, on a regular basis, I get an email from so-called someone named Brian Patton. Brian is a lion down just north of Vancouver. I forget the club that he's with. And I've been communicating with Brian for a long time, but it's always the same message. It says, can you please call me? Or have you got a minute? Or something like that. And I will look at the email address and no, it's from some weird email address. And Now, it ain't going to happen. I designate that as spam and it gets isolated for me. If I get an odd request from someone and it is legitimate, even then, I'm inclined to call them up rather than respond to the email message. Yeah, I'm suspicious. I've been bit in the posture. And there was one time that I was bit. It was an email message that came across. His nephew was in Mexico and he was kidnapped by the cartels, and they were demanding money. Can you please help me out? And so I respond, sure. What are we talking about? Something like that. And they responded with, I need you to buy gift cards. Bingo. Bingo. No, 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 no. So, of course, I then called this lion and said, hey, what's going on? And he said, yeah, a whole lot of other people got the same message. It's spam. Forget about it. So, yeah. Some websites can be suspicious as well. And suspicious websites frequently come from a link. Seldom is it, you might type in the incorrect URL. Yeah, that's entirely possible. But frequently, your suspicious website is going to come from a link that you see, either in a message or with something else from a web. So you click on it. And or you might want to, if you are suspicious of it, you might want to copy that link and check with scamadvisor.com. And it will give you the quick rundown on what's legit and what's not. It will even look into the details behind the domain address and provide information about that if you are so inclined to look into that area. How do you copy a link? How do you copy the URL? Again, I'm going to share this with you so that I can show you what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's my granddaughter, by the way, when she was about 2 years old. So how do I copy a URL? This up here is a URL. I utilize a single click right here. The entire URL is now selected. I'm working with Windows, so I use Control-C for copy. And then I can go over to scamadvisor.com. Advisor.com, if I can get that right. Good. And here, utilizing Control-V, I can check the scan.
And you can also do that with your mouse.
You can also do it with your mouse. Yes. Good, good, good. It's that simple. For every bad thing that is out there, every bad thing that can happen to you, there's always someone, another way for you to double check, another way for you to prevent it from happening, which is always a good idea. Let me return to here we are. Cool. I don't need that anymore. There we are. Good. Updates. You want to update your operating system, Windows, Mac, or whatever you happen to have. You want to keep it current because many times that operating system update is going to include security tools. You want to keep it up to date. You want to keep your antivirus update. Many of the antivirus programs and anti-malware programs will automatically update in the background, which is cool. For your hardware, you also need to keep your hardware regularly updated as well. And here I'm talking about the actual computer, the box that you're working with. Dell, HP, Lenovo, there are a bunch of them. There are ways, and each of these different manufacturers have different ways to do this. So you need to read and be aware of how to do it, but you need to update your hardware as well as your software. Backups, backups, backups. Every computer professional, every network admin will tell you backups are vitally important. And most of your operating systems will have an automatic backup tool. All you have to do is configure it and turn it on, and it'll happen in the background. Because if really bad things happen to your computer, And backup is going to come into suddenly real good use. You can also do a manual backup. I do a manual backup as well as an automatic. I do my manual backup to an external storage device. I've got an external 2 terabyte hard drive, and periodically I will back up all my working files. And over the decades, I've accumulated a lot of them. I don't want to let them go. So yeah, I got a lot of junk. I really do. And another way is with a simple copy and paste, backing up to a different location, copy and paste. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we're Lions. We got tons of pictures we wouldn't want to ever have to lose.
That's exactly right. Just like our pins, we don't want to lose our pins, right? Yeah.
That's why we have a vest.
I want to talk about top-level domains. Top-level domains are not to be confused with .com or .net, et cetera, et cetera. Top-level domains are also known as a country code. For instance, if you have an account with Yahoo or with Google or whatever, and that's how you regularly get the email. You send the email out and it comes back and so forth. And you'll notice that it comes from, like, for instance, an email that I send out from my Yahoo account. On the receiving end, they will see that it comes from me at yahoo.com. What they don't see, because it is masked, what they call a mask or hidden, is yahoo.com.us. The US is not shown because we're all USs. Externally, if I send it to, for instance, Ireland, they will see the .us. Now, many internet service providers and email providers in Canada will not do a .com or .net or whatever. They will do a .ca, which is Canada. So yeah, they got different ways of doing things. There are certain TLD, top-level domains from certain countries you inherently should not trust. And these are them. RU stands for Russia, BU stands for Bulgaria, LI is Lithuania, Estonia. I forget what SBS is. Dev is for developers, programmers, and programmers will never publish their working files on a .dev except to other developers. So don't trust it. I don't recall what SO is. Oh, Somalia. XYZ is another tinkering type of program. Pub and app, same way with same as DEV. DEV. I forget what ICO is. RE and UA, I forget. I forget what the rest of them are. It is highly unlikely that you're going to receive an email or a connection to any one of these top-level domains. It's highly unlikely. It can happen. It has happened in the past, but it's unlikely. We just need to be aware.
What's the top level domain for North Korea?
They do not have a top-level domain.
But they do an awful lot of hacking.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah, yeah. Via other countries. So, yeah, they don't have one on their own. If they did, I would think it would be NK, but I don't know for sure. So there are many more. These are the more common dangerous ones. Again, you're unlikely to see a connection, a link to with one of these domains. Conclusion. Download software from official sites, not the third-party sites, if you will. Keep everything updated. Double check your email, and I should have included the word attachments there. Oh, I didn't talk about attachments. Double check email attachments before you open them. Yeah, even the PDFs can include malicious stuff in there. Use a VPN, especially if you're on a public Wi-Fi. Password managers, there's some excellent free ones out there. Sometimes we will learn these things the hard way. The vast majority of your internet work activities are going to be safe, but protection awareness is key. It is important. I've walked through this kind of quickly. questions?
Yes, Al, can you explain the purpose of the firewall?
Purpose of a firewall is in conjunction with malware and antivirus, but firewalls initially were hardware, and it was a actual box that you installed with your network, and then they learned how to install that as software, and then Microsoft learned how to incorporate that with the operating system. So nowadays, if you're working with Windows, you've got a firewall installed. It's automatically turned on. It's automatically active. If you are into tweaking and experimenting, yes, you can adjust the firewall to do certain things. As a general rule, especially with the firewall, I leave it alone.
Another question. I'm got a little bit older computer with Windows 10, and it
Okay.
tells me my desk computer is not sufficient enough to update to Windows 11, which means I no longer get support from Microsoft. And I'm wondering, does that include Defender?
I don't know. And also, with the Windows 10 boxes, although it says that by default, there is a way that you can change a certain BIOS setting to make it recognize that it is available for update.
I have to look at it.
Yeah, yeah. It's in the BIOS. It's a hardware setting, and for each of the hardwares that you have, again, Lenovo, HP, Dell, whatever you happen to have, if you go onto that website, the Dell website, and ask about for this particular model, update from Windows 10 to Windows 11, how do I do it? And of course, it will provide you exact instructions on how to make the adjustment if necessary, how to make the adjustment, and then, of course, instructions on how to install. Good questions.
A couple of things I was thinking about. I wrote a couple of notes down here. I originally talked to you about doing this class because we were going through a spate once again of receiving this scam email about asking for, as Al had mentioned, the gift cards.
Yes.
Yeah, just in the past couple of years among Lions, lots of
Yes.
those.
Yes,
Really
and
bummer.
it seems
Seems
kind of
to be
suspicious.
district
And
governors.
one of the things that was interesting to me is that when I talked to like MD19 in Bellingham and a few other people, nobody really seems to know anything about it, how widespread it is. Is it just local in 19, or these people working from out of the country, in the country? Nobody knows. So I thought if we talked more, we might learn something from that interaction. We keep to ourselves. We may know a little bit of information that might connect with somebody else's little bit of information, and we learn something from the two of them. But so far, because of the way it works, I just want to say when it comes to scams, you really kind of got to keep your head on a swivel and don't assume anything.
Yep.
If you get something that looks suspicious, don't reply to that email and say, "Hey, is this you?" Because you're just replying to whoever's sending the mail. Open up a new email, put in the address you know is correct, and then ask them, "Did you just send me this email?"
Or make a phone call.
Yeah.
Or that's the best way right there. Make a phone call and ask. Otherwise, you fall into that trap. I fell into that trap when Maryland was district governor and we were setting up for district convention. And it was like 2 weeks before convention. And I got this email that says, "Hey, Les, I'm real busy. Can you get me some gift cards for convention gifts?" And I fell for it because it blew me away that this person knew all the right words to say. It sure seemed legit to me. And I'm having this conversation with him. And finally I said, "Whoa, wait a minute. I'm going to give Marilyn a call."
Yep.
So that person didn't get any money out of me, but they got there for a while. They thought they were gonna.
Yeah.
And the other thing I thought was very important was the personal backup. If you don't have one already, check Amazon and look around for a relatively inexpensive portable hard drive that you can just plug into the USB drive on your computer and use that to download everything that's important to you. I don't do it on a daily basis, but every now and then, I mean, I have folders on my desktop for the things that are important. And then every now and then I can just click and drag it over to the safe folder. So that if the computer crashes or something happens to it, I don't have to, sweat losing everything. I'm going to lose something. That's just, I'm not, it's just not, nobody's that careful. I worked for a company that every day put all their data onto a disk and sent it to the other office across the
Yeah.
lake, and they sent their information over to us. So, but we don't have to do that. But anyway, do the backup. If you ever run into losing your computer, you're going to be so glad you did.
One of the other programs that you just reminded me that I did not mention earlier, one of the virus programs is of a category that they call hostage, where it invades your computer and you get this message that says, pay up or we're going to wipe out your entire content of your hard drive. If you ever get that message, you want to immediately unplug your computer, turn your computer off now.
Just reach
Because
over, push the off button until it shuts off.
exactly right.
You don't like to do that. You want to use the shutdown procedure, but in this case, just shut it off.
Shut it off. When this first started up, probably about, I don't know, about 15 years ago, maybe longer, I was the so-called network admin for a local food bank. And I get a frantic phone call from the executive director one day saying, that's what has happened. I told him literally, unplug that server right now, leave everything turned off until I get there. And they lost some working files, but not a whole lot. I was able to find where the problem was and remove it. But we lost a few files. It's important that you take drastic action when this happens.
There's a new thing I've been seeing lately fairly often. You're just having fun tooling around the internet, and all of a sudden you get this pop-up that says your internet, your antivirus software is expired, and you got to interrupt it, and you got to update it now, and it won't let you shut down.
Right.
It won't let you. You have the only way you can do is close your browser and start over again.
Yeah. And a good malware protection will prevent that from happening.
Well, one of the things I've been reading real recently that's kind of bothersome is we all know about the rise of AI. These hackers are also starting to use AI, so they're going to get better at what they do.
Yep.
Which means we have to be more vigilant.
Yep.
So that we've got 8 or 9 of us, 6 or 7 of us here, and then we're aware, we've talked about it. So be sure to talk about it with your fellow Lions, about the awareness that is necessary. Don't assume. I mean, we're nice people, so we tend to assume that people are nice people because we're nice people. Aren't you nice people too? But there's a lot of people out there, and you're living on $20,000 a year, which is not a whole. It's not enough. They'll take every dime if they can get it.
Yep. Yep.
I had a weird phone call today on my iPhone, and something similar yesterday. But today's it said it was from Bank of America and that a transaction was in process at Safeway in Port Angeles right now. But they would check with me if I called this phone number. And I thought, boy, I'm pretty darn sure this is scam. But it was, I do have Bank of America. I am close to Port Angeles. So it gave a phone number, and I went to not my iPhone, but my landline and called that phone number. And it said that person didn't have a mailbox set up.
Yeah.
And something yesterday, that was what happened. I did the same thing. And so clearly was a scam, but boy, it was almost got me. Because I've been called seriously when I used to work in Bremerton or Bellingham by Bank of America when they asked if I was in Hawaii spending my credit card, and I was not. I was sitting in the office.
Right.
But that was actually true.
Yeah.
I had been hacked. That was happening. So it was good that I paid attention that time. It's very confusing.
I'm also seeing more and more on my cell phone where a random person, I have no idea who it is, sends me a text like they know me. Can we talk? Are you free at 11 o'clock? Can we talk? Whatever. Hey, I got this great deal. You want to get in on it with me? So on and so forth. And all they want you to do is respond. If you respond, you're on the hook. They know you will. And then they use their psychology and they start a conversation with you. Next thing you know, you're sending them all your money.
Yeah.
Any
Barb,
of those things,
go
I
ahead,
was going to
Barb.
say, any of those things that I get, I hit delete immediately.
Absolutely.
Because I've had it happen to me like 3 times now where they call up and they want to know about my credit card and we can help you with this. And we notice that you have like a $7,000 balance. I just told them, F off, you're full of SHIT because I have like $100 balance. And I looked it up, but I don't engage.
When you're opening your emails and you're thinking it looks a little sketchy, look at like the email address. A lot of times the address is spelt weird.
Yeah.
Well, that's like
a letter out or something, and anything that looks not quite right. I get emails all the time. Most of them now go into the spam folder. But when you look at it, it looks legitimate. It's got their logos, it's got their links, it's got everything in there. But you click on a couple of links, they don't go anywhere.
Well, that's like when I got that email when you were district governor and I called you and asked you about the gift cards.
Mm-hmm.
When I looked up the email address, then I looked yours up in my my roster.
Yeah.
And it was like the same as yours, but it had like one extra letter or something like that.
Right.
So that's why at first I thought it was legit, but thank God I didn't send them any money. And then they kept asking for things. And that's when I called you. It's like, no, this sounds really weird.
Yep.
Again, keeping your head on a swivel and being a skeptic is not being a pessimist. Those are two different things. But to be a skeptic is entirely healthy. Ask questions.
Yep.
Here.
I know somebody who she was on a dating website. She ended up sending these jerks $565,000 to somebody was supposedly her fiance that she'd never met. But
well, like I said, if these things didn't work, they wouldn't keep doing it.
Yeah, that's right. Karen and Mike, questions. What are your thoughts? Constance, what are your thoughts? You got to turn on your microphone if we're going to hear you.
Well, it's very interesting. Some of the stuff I'm aware of, but it's always refreshing to hear it again because sometimes you don't pay much attention to a lot of it. Especially when people send you text or send you email. In respect of the malware, and I also know of the scam in the emails. Sometimes I'm wondering, like, is this legit? Should I click on it? And stuff. Or you wonder, for instance, I would get a text that says, hey, are you looking for work? And I'm like, I don't know this number. Who's this person? So once I decided to say what, and they said something else, and I thought, oh, I better delete this. So I deleted and I blocked the number. But I was wondering, like, did they get into my phone because I said what? You don't know if they got into the phone. So immediately I get onto another device and keep checking my bank account because I have my bank account on my phone, right? But I keep checking to see if, okay, did something were they able to get into the bank account? Could they got in, change the password using another device just in case? But they also, a lot of hackers know how to get behind the passwords. And stuff like that.
Yeah. It's always a cat and mouse game. You really-
Yeah, but I guess the thing is, if you don't know the personal, but if you don't know, then you don't answer. But then sometimes it's legit. Somebody's trying to get in touch with you, but how do you know when it's legit and when it's not? Because you may not know the number, right? Um, so how do you know it's legit or not? One of my friends,
I think if somebody is legit and you don't respond, they're going to contact you and say, "What the heck?"
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Very true.
Well, I always think you have to watch out on WhatsApp too, because I have WhatsApp account, but that's only for my cousins in Germany. That's how we communicate. And every so often I get some other weird, question or something on there that they're not part of the group. They're not part of anything. I always block them. I always, report them.
Yep. Yep. Right. Exactly right.
but I use WhatsApp a lot because I have a lot of friends outside of Canada and I'm from the Caribbean and that's how we communicate. So you'd get a WhatsApp, you may not know that person, but that person may have gotten it from another person who's trying to get you didn't. So you think, oh my goodness, who is this? And then you find out, oh, it's somebody who I haven't spoken to or they got married or whatever, changed their last name. But unless you open the WhatsApp, you wouldn't know. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
it's
use
a lot
mine.
of it's
I
really
use mine
difficult.
just for my cousins in Germany. That's it.
Don't
So
send them any
if-
money.
Yeah, if they come from any other country or any other area code, then I know that they're not legit.
Yeah. Yeah. Karen and Mike, talk to us.
I've had something interesting going on in the last 2 or 3 months. I manage my own investment account with a major corporation, and I've got unsolicited phone calls from a person representing themselves as an employee of the company, and they've come from 3 different locations, the same person. So, needless to say, I'm not rising to the bait, but I am trying to figure out how to get to the right people now and see what we can do about it.
Yeah, well, of course, the website for that company, that would be the best source for the initial contact.
Yeah.
Get the phone number.
I wish I had listened to this. I wish we'd had this a year ago.
Yeah, yeah.
I just lost the computer
I was
about
gonna
5
say,
months ago.
The
blue
backup
screened
thing
on
is
me, and I didn't have
resonating
it
with
backed up.
Mike.
What was that?
The backup information is resonating with Mike.
I would think a business of any sort would actually demand data backup.
Oh yeah.
Daily data backup.
Any network admin worth his or her salt is always going to require backup being done. And depending on the business, it's done either every day. And I worked at a business where we did a backup literally every hour. And there were times when I had to go back and retrieve something 2 or 3 hours old. Yeah, backup is worth it. It really is. And again, many of the operating systems, Windows, I know for sure, comes with a backup utility. You configure it to operate the way you prefer, and it's designed to operate in the background, not disturbing what you're doing in the foreground.
But can you access that if your computer only opens up in DOS because of the virus or whatever got into the computer?
With a backup, it will also include a utility that you can install the install.
Okay.
There's here we are. Also install from a USB drive. You just follow the instructions and it'll work.
Usually you just plug that in, turn the machine on, and it redoes it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
good conversation though, I'll tell you.
But with AI, I find with AI,
I'm trying to get it back.
we have to be very careful because now, and this has happened to us, someone calls, offer a contract which legitimate, sounds really good. We said send an email, send a contract so we could see, The contract came, look exactly like the companies has the logo, has everything on it.
Yep.
But the kicker was, it was for iPhone 17, which is just coming out or not out, but it was such a good deal. Like such a good deal. So then we thought, oh, this is really good. And they're telling us, oh, it will come in the mail. Anyway, what we did, we went and we used the landline and called the phone company and said, yeah, we just have your executive, we just want to make sure. And they said, iPhone 4, it's not even ready yet, so we don't know how much it's gonna cost. So we can't give you a deal because it's not quite ready. And then, that's how we knew. Oh.
Yeah.
And they had the nerve, we just hung up and they had the nerve to call back again to try and follow up. Yeah. We were so close. They thought, oh, we got them. And they were close. They said, hey, this is just too good to be true. So but yeah, AI is making, and a lot of stuff on the internet with AI. I've heard a lot of people, especially with weight loss, because we're all so concerned, and they have all these celebrities speaking about they use X and Y weight loss program, and if you send the money, and it was so good, and this and that, and the celebrities are doing this, and people are sending money, and then nah, yeah,
Wow.
it's really bad with AI.
Yeah. Well, skepticism is always a good thing.
One thing I'm going to do tomorrow, not tonight, tomorrow, is I'm going to put a VPN on my laptop. My desktop here, it doesn't travel. I'm not worried about the Wi-Fi, but the laptop is what I use when I travel. So I should have a VPN. I've known it. I've just been vicarious. Forget it. I haven't worried about it, but I should.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Well, the time, we're right past the top of the hour. Good timing. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Again, I want to thank all of you for connecting in this evening. I do appreciate your time. And let's conclude this with words of our past district governor, Sharon Sykes, where she said, let's go forward and do great things. Good night, all.
Good night. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Hal Hedstrom.
Yes, thank you. America's trophy husband.
You bet.